Whew. Fresh out of the oven, we've got a Strider WB Mod 10. This is the first Strider fixed blade I have ever owned. So pretty monumental occasion here. Never even handled a Strider fixed blade. Why is that? Well, the reason for that, it's because I am a diehard folder fan, or at least that's what I thought I was. But recently I've gotten into fixed blades and I had to get me a Strider fixed blade. Picked this up from the drop, direct from Strider. I was quick on the draw on my keyboard. I snagged this baby. I was a little apprehensive, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. There's a couple things with this particular knife I kind of was a little worried about, I guess. But rest assured, not a worry. I really love this knife, and I really like this paracord wrap. Hint, hint. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I was worried about. But let's get into it. What are we looking at? We're looking at a large fixed blade. What is the length on this bad boy? It's a monster. Blade length is, depending on where you look at it, 4.5 inches. If you don't count this choil right there, if you do count that choil, you're looking at 5.5 inches. Overall length is 10.25. 10.25. Big mama jamma right here. This is a hard use. Oh, did I even have that in front of the camera? Jesus Christ. All right, let's get some specs on this big mama jamma of a knife. It is a monster. It is huge. And I just shot this part and I was completely off camera. Man, what an amateurish move. It's like I started YouTube yesterday. So, really long blade length, depending on where you count it from. If you're just going to the top of this choil here, you're looking at about 4.5 inches. If you go all the way to the start of the guard, it's about 5.5 inches. Overall length, 10.25. So this thing is huge. It is a big survival, tactical, self-defense knife. Look how thick that stock is. We're going to measure that here in a minute. Let's do some weights. Weight is important. 8.5 ounces, so it is no slouch. This is a thick piece of steel. Obviously full tang. I mean, even though it doesn't have scales, right? It's still considered full tang. Let's do a full weight for the entire kit here. Obviously, it's going to be quite a bit more. 13.8 ounces. So, yeah, this is not an EDC fixed blade knife. But it is something that you can take into the apocalypse and come out the other side with. Let's see how thick this is. I'm guessing it's almost 1/4 inch. Yeah, 0.21. So almost 1/4 inch. Really thick blade stock. The steel on this is CTS-XHP. You know, I'm a big 3V fan. I don't know. I'm not, first off, okay, disclaimer, first off, I'm not a steel snob. When it comes to steels, primarily my goal is just to make sure that the price I paid reflects the quality or expense of the steel. That's most of what I care about, because for my needs, as long as it's not something that's complete trash, it's going to work. However, when it comes to like heavy duty fixed blades, I am more of a 3V fan. I don't know about CTS-XHP. It seems like it might be a little too, depending on how it's heat treated, it might be a little too chippy. I don't know. Let me know down below. Do you think CTS-XHP is a good use case for this? I would think that, you would want that in something that's more, you want to hold the edge, you want to do a lot of cutting, whereas this thing is literally, I was going to say folding. I was going to say a folding pry bar. It's not a folding pry bar. It's a sharpened pry bar. Look at this tip. Look how thick that tip is. This is made, right? This is made for digging into things, prying open doors, picking things out, stabbing through hardcore heavy-duty materials, cutting through really thick, hard materials. That's what this is for. So when I say sharpened pry bar, I don't mean that as a dig. Sometimes I do, depending on the knife. And a lot of people use that. But that's what this is. It is very thick behind the edge. It is not a slicer by any means. Even here, which is a little bit better because you've got a slightly higher flat ground bevel. But this tip portion right here, and look how obtuse that secondary bevel is. I mean, this thing is, it is not a slicer. It is not good for cutting through things. This is a sharpened pry bar, which is a valid use case because a pry bar is a very valuable tool in a lot of situations. And then if you add the ability to do some cutting with it, kind of just adds to the use and the utility nature of having a hard use heavy duty pry bar. And of course you can lay this edge back more. So you can increase the cutting capacity of this particular knife just by reprofiling this, laying the secondary bevel back further. But Strider is known on their tantos. They are known to do this. They really lean into the concept of the thick, robust tanto tip heavily. So that is one thing that I like about Strider is they're very purpose-built. Slight tangent here, very purpose-built. So you could look at some of their tantos like this and say, oh, Strider just builds ridiculous, over-thick, uncutting knives. But then if you look at one of their almost full flat ground drop points, they're actually very slicey, especially in an S&G, because that particular blade shape is more conducive to being a cutting tool. And so they lean into the cutting on that particular knife, but for something like this, they lean into having it be super robust. Anyways, tangent over. So we've got the famous Strider Tiger Stripe blasting here. How they do that, which is really cool. And you may not think it's cool, but when this first debuted, it was super cool because when this first came out, coatings were pretty crappy. We didn't have DLC. We didn't have some of these nicer matte finishes. It was basically paint for the most part, at least in production knives. It was like either paint, stonewash, or satin, and most stuff was satin. So what Strider did, which is cool, is rather than paint on tiger stripes, which would look super cheap and crappy, they did a matte finish black oxide across the whole blade, which I don't believe they do true black oxide anymore. It's a different process, but it's similar result. They would do a full black oxide blade, and you could just buy Strider knives with a full black blade, but then they would take a sandblaster and they would sandblast off the black to create the tiger stripes. So the tiger stripes are a removal process, not an addition process. Well, I mean, it's kind of both, but you know what I mean. To get the striping, they actually remove the black. And so it creates this cool, fully matte finished blade with the neat tiger stripes on there. Very non-reflective. It's not going to attract attention. It's not going to bling in anybody's eyes or your eyes. Looks cool, and it's protective as well. So very nice, very nice. There is the FWP logo right there. M Strider. So ever since Strider disbanded, Strider Inc. or LLC or whatever it was, everything is M Strider now. That's one way to tell older knives from newer knives. If it just says Strider, then that means it's pre-split up. If it says M Strider, it's post-split up. Paracord here. This is tight. This is super tight. I was worried it was going to be like loose and not provide a good purchase or good grip. Couldn't be further from the truth. Very tight paracord wrap. And this fits into the survivalist mentality of this knife, right? So the idea here is, yes, it provides a nice, comfortable, secure grip. But if you need paracord in an emergency, you can cut this off, remove this, and now you've got a lot of paracord to deal with for whatever it is you need. Also has this lanyard looping through here. Continuation of that paracord, so it stops here, it goes through this hole, and then it's tied right here, and then you have this as well. So also, conversely, if you needed to, you could just cut this off right here and just have a shorter length of paracord without affecting your grip here. I really like this. Let's kind of get into the design of the knife. So I mentioned how it's more of a prior stabby, twisty, strong knife. You can change that if you wanted to. Very comfortable, very simple. You've got hammer grip, you've got saber grip right here, right behind this guard here. But you can also choke up, put your finger up on this choil. You've got very aggressive jimping. I mean, this is massive jimping. Part of the reason I'm wearing gloves is because, in my opinion, this is somewhat of a gloved knife, right? And this jimping works perfectly well in gloves. It is super secure, very strong grip here. You have a lot of control over this knife if you need to choke up on it a little bit more. Of course, reverse grip. With a simple handle like this, it really kind of just works in everything. You've got jimping on the back here for your thumb to rest on if you're in this reverse ice pick grip. Overall, really, really cool. I love the tiger striping on this thing. It's just classic, simple hunk of metal with paracord on it. Can't get any more simple than that. Let's take a look at this Kydex sheath here. I'm new to fixed blades, so please forgive me if I miss any features or don't understand things completely. But you've got like a belt loop here. You've got a belt loop through here. You can also undo this and then let it hang further. You could loop through this thing. I believe this is MOLLE compatible. And yes, the sheath is made in the US, right in California, by SOE, Special Operations Equipment, right there. South Coast Highway, Oceanside, California. Very well done, very robust, very nice. You've got a clip right here where you can store whatever it is you need in here. Could be first aid kit, could be matches, could be a smaller knife, could be any number of things that you need to carry in there. And the actual thing securing the blade is kind of just Kydex rolled up right here in a wider shape on this side, skinnier shape on that side. So you do tip forward in this case, put it in. It's secure, like it's got tension. It doesn't snap in like a Kydex sheath would, but that's why you've got this securing it up on the top here. Keep everything nice and tight. You can carry this a bunch of different ways. It's going to be able to handle anything you throw at it. So very cool. I'm glad I picked this up. I don't think I'm going to get a ton of Strider fixed blades. Maybe one more, smaller one. Not sure yet. I haven't, I'm new to the Strider fixed blade world, so we'll see what they have to offer. It'd be cool to get something in the Monkey Edge frag pattern right there. So very cool. Let me know down below, what do you think of this Strider fixed blade? Would you pick something like this up, or is it not something you would ever use? Talk to you guys later on the next video. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm out. Take care. See ya.